Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are talking about one of the most incredible features of our planet, the mind-boggling variety of life that we call biodiversity. So let's just jump right in with a little thought experiment. Picture this. An alien visitor lands on Earth for the very first time. What's the one thing that would totally blow their mind? It's probably not our skyscrapers or our smartphones. Nope, it would be this. The sheer, almost unbelievable variety of living things. I mean, we're talking about more than 300,000 species of beetles alone, something like 28,000 species of fish, and almost 20,000 different kinds of orchids. The scale is just staggering, and it makes you ask, well, what does it all mean? So how do we wrap our heads around all this variety? Well, scientists have a word for it, biodiversity. But what are we really talking about when we use that term? The term itself was made famous by the sociobiologist Edward Wilson. And here's the key thing to get. It's not just about counting up all the different animals and plants. It's way deeper. It's about the combined diversity at all the different levels of life, from the tiniest genes to the entire planet. And that's what's so cool about it. Biodiversity isn't just one flat idea. You can think of it like three different layers, all stacked on top of each other and all connected. And to really get it, you've got to understand each of these layers. And these are the big three. You've got genetic diversity, species diversity, and ecological diversity. So let's quickly break down what each one of those actually is. Okay, first up is genetic diversity. This is all the variety you find within a single species. I mean, just think about this. In India, there are more than 50,000 different genetic strains of rice and over 1,000 different kinds of mangoes. That's all the same species, but with incredible variety baked into their DNA, which is what helps them adapt and survive. Next, we've got the one we're probably all most familiar with, species diversity. This one's pretty simple. It's just the number of different species you find in one place. A great example is in India's Western Ghats Mountains, which have way more different kinds of amphibian species than you'd find in the Eastern Ghats. And finally, we zoom all the way out to ecological diversity. Now we're talking about the variety of entire ecosystems. You look at a country like India and you've got deserts, rainforests, wetlands, coral reefs, the whole shebang. Now compare that to a country like Norway, which, while beautiful, just has a lot less variety in its ecosystems. So here's the bottom line. This incredible richness of life, something that took millions and millions of years of evolution to build, it's not just some nice to have. It's become a critical environmental issue. Figuring out how to protect it is now a massive international concern for the health of our planet. And that brings us to a pretty massive question, right? If we're supposed to be protecting all this biodiversity, we should probably know how much of it there is. So how many species are actually out there on Earth? Well, if you look at the official scorecard, the number is pretty impressive. According to the IUCN back in 2004, we have officially named and described just over 1.5 million species of plants and animals. That sounds like a ton, but it's really just what we've managed to catalog so far. And that's where the real mystery begins. Because for every species we've put a name to, how many more are out there, totally unknown to science? What we know is really just the tip of the iceberg. You know, some wild estimates have been thrown around. Some people say up to 50 million. But a much more scientifically respected estimate from a biologist named Robert May puts the real number somewhere around 7 million. Think about that. For every one species we know, there might be 3 or 4 more that we've never even seen. So why don't we just go out and count them? Well, it's not that simple. For one, a huge number of these undiscovered species are hiding out in the tropics, which are incredibly complex. And then you've got the microscopic world of bacteria and other microbes. Our usual ways of identifying species just don't work for them, especially since you can't even grow most of them in a lab. Okay, so let's take that 1.5 million known species and break it down a bit. When you start to unpack the numbers and see how it's all distributed, some really wild patterns start to show up. Right off the bat, one thing just leaps out at you. Of all the life we've ever recorded, animals are the undisputed champions. Over 70% of all known species are animals. Plants make up a pretty small slice in comparison, only about 22%. But here's where it gets truly crazy. If you zoom in on just that huge animal kingdom slice, you find that one group completely dominates everything else. Insects. They make up more than 70% of all animals. It's not even close. Let me put that another way. Think of any 10 animals on Earth. Statistically, 7 of them are insects. It's their world, really. We're just living in it. And it's not just insects. Here's another fact that'll bend your brain. The number of fungi species in the world is greater than all the fish, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals combined. It just goes to show you the most visible life isn't always the most common. So that's the big global picture. But to really see what this means, let's zoom in on a specific place, one of the world's 12 mega-diversity countries, to see how it plays out on the ground. And what a place to zoom in on. Check this out. India has only 2.4% of the world's total land area, but it's home to a whopping 8.1% of all the species on the planet. It punches way, way above its weight when it comes to biological wealth. The numbers are just mind-boggling. So far, scientists have recorded around 45,000 types of plants and about double that many animals. But here's the thing. If we apply those global estimates from Robert May, there are probably more than 100,000 plant species and over 300,000 animal species in India that we haven't even found yet. The job of just cataloging it all is nowhere near finished. And that really brings us to a final, pretty urgent thought. We're in a race against time here. All of this amazing, undiscovered life is under threat. We're facing the very real possibility of losing countless species before we even know they exist. It's like a massive library is on fire, and we haven't even had the chance to read the titles on the books. What incredible things are we losing before we even have a chance to find them?